Hey, this is Kristen with Collision Hub, and we know that across the country, shops right now are looking at air a little bit differently than they ever have before because of air quality and needs. And Dan is coming to the market with a piping system that's just really revolutionary, and we kind of wanted to come up here today, get some information on the system so that you shops could have a little bit more to work with. Tony, you guys have distributed SATA paint guns exclusively in the U.S. and Puerto Rico for over 20 years.
Since 1981.
Yeah, so what got you guys into the air market?
Well, in the last few years, we did a significant amount of training for the Rule 40 EPA training, and seeing what we were seeing at the shops. Certainly all of our reps calling on the shops that are in the middle of waterborne conversions, et cetera. We saw a big need with today's equipment, whether it's their DAs they're using more air, more HVLP spray gun technology, using a little more air, a lot more air tools being used than ever, and air volume and air quality really are necessary when we're converting to waterborne.
Right, so the air quality a little bit for just my tools, so I'm not contaminating my tools in addition to my paint guns, but volume. So we had a lot of shops thinking a lot of compressor upgrades that may or may not have been needed.
That's true, and we've had quite a number of examples of installs where we've gone in and plumbed piping incorrectly, maybe put a loop in their system, connected dead ends that they had to make a loop system, where they went from having 20 CFM available to the whole shop to 80 just by changing their piping.
Well, tell me a little bit about the piping, because it's unique in the way that the pipe is made and it's unique in the way it connects.
Okay, well, when we were sourcing to look at what can we do for a solution, there's a couple different aluminum piping systems out there, but we definitely wanted to go with a smooth walled pipe. This one, the smooth wall system on it, has a very polished looking interior. There's no restrictions, so you don't get any turbulence in your air. So not having that turbulence in your air allows the air to flow through there easily at its maximum without having restriction, without having debris. We saw so much piping out there that was black pipe in the industry, gas pipe, steel pipe, that had just corroded itself. It was coming apart, or it had corroded itself to the point where it was so pitted up that airflow couldn't travel like it used to through it. People were getting rust and debris in their paintwork. So for us, that was the reason what we started with. We found this solution, great lightweight system. There's no added stress on beams. So when a shop plumbs in airlines, they really do need to take a look at a few things like what is their roof load. We're in Minnesota here, we get a lot of snow load in the winter. Adding a lot of heavy pipe, whether it would be galvanized or steel or even stainless, you have to take that into consideration. Installation is an issue. We wanted it to be simple. So with this piping, we have real simple to push together connections. All of these connections are pre-torqued, so you just press the pipe into them. They have two seals inside and a grip ring to hold the pipe so that they don't leak. Immediately once you're done, you turn your air valve on and you're ready to go. So for us, there were simple solutions. You can put it together yourself.
So this makes it, really, I guess, for a shop that's looking at plumbing the whole shop, not just the paint area, if I ever decide to go to additional lifts or additional stations for technicians and need air, it's just something as simple as dropping in my own new tee, right?
Yeah, it is simple. And when we look at like the overhead piping, we have connectors that they look much like this, but just the connector, no valve. If you decide you want to put a T there because I need to make a run that I'm going to shoot across my shop to put another bay in, I can loosen these collars. The center section of the body comes out. I put in my new T section, the center section of that T, screw my caps back on, and I now have a place that I can connect another port and go. We see shops expanding, going into or moving completely into another building, and this stuff disassembles very quickly too, so they can disassemble what they're doing, take it apart in a matter of moments, and reset it back up in the new location. So for us, that was another huge advantage.
Yeah, so your air system travels with you if you ever want to upgrade or...
Sure.
Oh, that's amazing. Now, you guys have done some great stuff with the drains, because that's one of the things that we're trying to keep the air dry.
Right.
And with the filter systems and the drains. Kind of explain a little bit how that works here, because it's a really unique setup for you guys.
Well, what we have is we've got air that comes into this system. In this case, we've got the airflow coming into the filter and then exiting out through regulators. We have a simple solution to connect it because you have a threaded connector that can screw right into the filter, and then it's pushed to connect on the other end, so that connects. This part right here is probably the most important part, and it's the part that gets done I'd say wrong in many cases, because many times we simply have a pipe that would come into a filter, maybe with a 90, go into a filter.
Yeah, going straight to my filter.
And then now all of my debris that comes through my line, or if there's any moisture or oil particles that come through that line, have nowhere to go except right into my filter. By putting this drain leg or drip leg on it, by putting this drip leg on here, what I can do then is all of my debris, the material drain to the bottom, where we have a valve at the bottom that we can open, and we can empty that system. We also put a drain or an on-off valve, so that if I have to service this filter, I can drain the air off my filter, purge my system, and replace my cartridges without having to shut the air off in the whole shop.
So I don't something I'm gonna have to do at night when after I've shut down, or come in early on a Saturday or something and get that done.
Yep.
This has also got to be able, with this setup, it's got to save kind of some life of my filters, and also maybe save me a little money here too.
Well, that's it. It's definitely made. We want to make sure that all of our debris, if we do our drops correctly in the shop, are there to help eliminate those potential problems before they get to our paint booth. And so we also recommend, in the lowest point before your painting area, in the lowest point in the shop, our piping where it comes off your loop, instead of having it off of the side of the pipe or off the top, we'll put a drain leg right off the bottom of an overhead pipe, so that at the lowest point, so that it has a drain. It has to go down that tube and evacuate.
Pathway for release resistance for him.
Right.
Well, that's awesome. So if people want to get a little bit more information about the piping system, what it would take to install it in their business, where do they go?
Well, they can go to our website for Dan-Am Air. It's just daa.com or under danamair.com, and they can look up. There's several examples on there, pictures. They can call us here at our 800 number, which is 800-533-8016, and ask us any questions they have.
Guys, be sure to go on the website and give it a check out. They just did this install in Jay Leno's garage, and he's just raving about it. And we've got some of the training centers for some of the paint companies around the country are switching to it as well. Having clean air in your shop not only will improve the proficiency of your paint department, but it's also going to help out your body techs with all the pneumatic tools that they're using these days. So go onto the website or give them a call, learn some more, and stay tuned to collisionhub.com. Thanks.